So, do you guys have all your materials ready for the season finale tonight?
No,
No?
not really.
What do you guys mean? Why not?
Why do I need to? I just kind of go by off whatever I need to do.
Yeah, me too.
What? That's not...
James, we want an Aussie for a reason.
Oh, that's awkward. That's
Well,
awkward.
I think we should just roll it.
Okay, roll it. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the season finale of Oswego Sports Update. I'm your host, James Cataldo, joined by the same two guys that you've literally been seeing this entire year,
Yes.
drake-deese and Mike Morano. As always, we have a great show for you tonight, so let's not waste any time and kick this season finale off with some Oswego baseball. The Oswego State baseball team closed off their regular season with a 26-12 record after a perfect weekend over SUNY Fredonia. The scores were decisive in both games as the Lakers won 11-2 and 7-3. Paul Tamero was the star of the weekend, going 4 for 6, and it was a great team effort all around. Mike, how can the men build on this strong finish going into the postseason?
I mean, they're on a 4-game winning streak going into the postseason. What better way to carry that momentum in than against the same team that you swept ending the season? I mean, pitching has been phenomenal. I mean, their hitting has been great. They've been winning by solid amounts. So it's honestly, this has been the same thing that we've been seeing every single time, is that they just keep doing the same thing that they're doing. Maybe they saw a couple of the film that they saw me at the softball game.
We're going back to
Maybe
this,
they
are
did
we?
that. Maybe they looked at the film. I don't know.
That's great.
But
And what was the score of that softball game, Mike?
19-6.
All right.
You
For
know.
WNYO.
Yep, I don't know who that organization is. But, you know, it was a lot of things going into this. Stolen bases have been great, too. They've been sending out guys on this to score as well. The small things matter, and they've been doing that.
Yeah, I think that one of the good things is that they're 14-4 in conference play. You can't ask for much better than that, other than 4 less losses. But
I mean, a lot of people could do that.
they're moving strong into the postseason. But one of the things that still concerns me is that once again they did not beat Ithaca, and they came off that and then bounced back really strong. And they're moving into the postseason again, as we said, against that team that they beat 4 times. But if you still have this thing that's hanging over you because you still haven't beat this team, that's gonna weigh in a little bit. Some of those mistakes are gonna come back to haunt you.
Well, I mean, I think that one of the biggest things that we should recognize here is that a team like Ithaca, they're not going to see them in the SUNYAC tournament.
Right.
You know, it's an out-of-conference game for them, and then they go on to play the University of Rochester, and Nick Chilson is able to hit a very clutch grand slam in the 7th inning that puts them up 4-2. They end up winning the game 5-4. It's a little bit of a nail-biter with the bullpen coming in, giving up 2 runs towards the end of the game. But these are out-of-conference matchups, and these are very good schools.
Yes.
That Oswego was playing that are out of conference. You know, it's not like that when head coach Leone is making the schedule or helping make the schedule with the athletic department that he's like, oh, give me weak out of conference games. These are very solid out of conference games that the Lakers are playing here. And not to mention, their toughest in conference game is Cortland. And 13-10 loss, 4-2 loss, 3-2 loss. I know they got swept when they played them on April 18th and 19th, but they were in Cortland, and the max amount of runs that they lost in those games was only 3. So it's very...
And they did come back from a big deficit going into that. And going back on the Ithaca thing, it's just games that you want to win. You know, especially even if you're not facing the playoffs, those are just games that you'd like to win just for morale boosting purposes. And again, a big factor too is their away record of 5-8. That could be a factor playing into this. And also giving up runs late in the game, that's always been to haunt them time and time again.
Yeah, it really has. And that's one of the things that we've touched on a couple of times, that they really just need to make sure that they're able to secure the game moving down the stretch.
And secure the bag.
Well, their next game is actually, they're not hosting, but they are the home team in the first round of the SUNYAC tournament against SUNY Fredonia, May 3rd, Friday, 3:30 p.m. in Cortland, so it's going to be on neutral territory, but Oswego wearing those white jerseys, so we'll see how they perform in the first round. The Oswego women's lacrosse team is gearing up for a classic matchup against Honeonta in the opening round of the SUNYAC tournament. These two teams have definitely had a history, and it's going to be a physical game on both ends. Midfielder Tony Leneve says that it's going to be an aggressive team and that they won't take any prisoners during the game.
We're playing Oneonta, and our schools kind of hate each other, so that game's always very dirty games. And they definitely are going to want to come back and beat us because we beat them in overtime. So that's going to be a big thing we have to overcome.
Bo, what do the women have to do to be able to beat this Oneonta team twice in a row, and this time in a very important playoff game?
Well, the good news is that they're at home once again. They're going to play this team at home both times. Obviously, as she said, the game went into a 14-14 overtime, and that's a pretty high-scoring game. You're going to get tired after that, especially against a rival team who is always going to be physical with you. Something that they have to do is definitely keep to an aggressive offensive game plan. I think one of the things that they do really well is they consistently put up a larger amount of shots than Oneonta whenever they play them, and that it doesn't necessarily show on the scoreboard, but it does help in that when they move into the later half of the games, they're able to put in either the winning goal or the goals that are gonna put them up 1, 2, or 3.
And just like the baseball team too, they're riding a 5-game winning streak going into the playoffs, which again is a great momentum builder going in.
Definitely.
And Oneonta too, they've beaten them twice in a row. They're very evenly matched teams. So again, their past matchups and looking in the history, it's a toss-up to me.
Yeah.
And it's not a guaranteed win for either team, but Oswego does a lot of great things. They keep the shot percentage up. Their shot percentage is very high,
yes,
as well as their goal percentage, and as well as they also like to pass it around a lot, creating opportunities for other people, which I like a lot in this game. I really like Oswego in this game, especially their pass against Oneonta. They're able to come out in overtime. That's going to be big for them as well.
Yeah.
Well, Bridget Regan, one of their star players, one of their star offensive talents, is injured going into this game, but she still is going to play. They have been dealing with injuries on the back half of the season, so we'll see how they perform against Oneonta.
And they will take no prisoners.
We will see what happens.
0 prisoners.
In this week's Lakers Sports Preview, obviously we just discussed the women's lax team hosting their SUNYAC opening round game, but the men are traveling to Cortland to take on the #1 team in the SUNYAC, SUNY Cortland, on Wednesday at 4 p.m. In terms of predictions, this is a tough game for the Lakers. What do you think this is going to transpire to be this Wednesday? Do you guys see a win, and why? And what does Oswego have to do to get that win against that tough Cortland team?
I think they got to be super aggressive. It's a similar thing that we just talked about with the women's lacrosse team. I think that when Oswego stays aggressive and they're really passing, they're passing in, making sure that it's shots, and crashing the goal whenever they can.
Shot to Lil John.
Yes.
Shots.
Oh my goodness. Different shots. They're able to put up the numbers that they need to put up, and they can continue to win.
Yeah, again, keep up the pressure. That's just as best you want to do. I mean, that's just kind of the story for a lot of teams and just kind of the basic general rule that you have to accomplish. But again, Cortland, the #1 team again, it's going to be a big matchup for them. But if they could win, it's just going to be a great momentum builder just going further into it. At this point, it's just about who could ride better with the momentum and who could just stay hot, especially the end of the season.
Yeah, they definitely got to come together, especially since they got absolutely slapped up last time.
Yeah, I was going to say, they just played Cortland in Cortland April 24th on a Wednesday. The Wednesday was not kind to them. They lost 19-7, so we'll see how they bounce back, but things are not promising.
Sounds familiar, but
yeah, very similar to a WTOP WNYO softball game. We're not going to talk about it too much. When we come back, it's the hottest headline hits and news of the nation. It's talk of the nation, that is. We got it all for you here after the break. Stay tuned. You are watching the season finale of Oswego Sports Update.
In a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly.
Lights out.
Good night. And put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
Oh my god, so you'll never believe what happened to Khloe Kardashian this week.
Oh my god, what happened? Tell me.
Okay, so she was at the mall, shopping at Saks.
Oh, hey, didn't see you there.
Hey, we're practicing for our new show, What's the Tea, starring me.
And me.
Hey, Brianna, when does it air?
Every other Sunday at 10 o'clock.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot.
Anyway, I can't wait for you to sip some tea with us.
Only on WTOP.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
Why did the girl ask the mushroom to dance? Because he was a fun guy.
What do you call a pig that knows karate? Pork chop. So how does a tissue dance? Put a little boogie on it.
Opioid dependence can happen after just 5 days. Know the truth, spread the truth.
Welcome back to OSU. We got the hottest headline hits in the nation, so let's not waste any time and get right into it. Starting off in the Bronx, and we are officially on CC watch. CC Sabathia is going into this start tomorrow against the Arizona Diamondbacks, only needing 3 more strikeouts to reach 3,000 on an illustrious career. Yankee manager Aaron Boone says he's had bad memories of having to face a young CC during his playing career, and he isn't the only player that the Southpaw has embarrassed over the years. Mike, if CC passes this milestone tomorrow, is he a shoo-in for the Hall of Fame?
I would not say shoo-in, but I would say it is going to be close. Looking at CC's past accolades, he's a 6-time All-Star, 2007 Cy Young Award winner, and also a World Series champ. What I like to see from him, though, looking at his career, 3.70 ERA as well. That's a little high compared to other Hall of Fame people. When he was at his peak, the man was dominant on the Indians and Brewers, but I don't think his peak was high enough. I see him not as a first ballot Hall of Famer, but going into years, I think he could possibly make it.
Well, we will see how the lefty does if he does reach the milestone, which he's expected to reach tomorrow. Rory McDonald defended his belt via majority draw against John Fitch and moved on into the Bellator Welterweight World Grand Prix, but it didn't come without doubt for the champion. After the fight, McDonald said this.
It takes a certain spirit to come in here and put a man through pain and stuff, and I don't know if I have that same drive to hurt people anymore. I don't know what it is, but it's confusing, but I know the Lord has something in store for me, but he was speaking to me in here tonight, and I don't know, it's a different feeling.
Bo, are you surprised McDonald said this, and what's next for the Bellator welterweight champ?
I don't think I'm surprised because things like this happen super fast in the fight game. I think it's a little weird just because it's Rory McDonald, and he is known for being one of the more fierce fighters coming out of the UFC and then moving into the Bellator game. This is one of those things where the fight game is so much different than every other sport. The thing about it is that it is an actual war, and you actually have to get in there and beat somebody every single night. And if you don't have the spirit to do that, it's really not something that you should continue to do.
Like UFC President Dana White said, if you're not into it anymore and your heart isn't into it, then you shouldn't come back. The NFL Draft was this past weekend, and the New York Giants made a few questionable calls with their picks. With the 6th overall pick, the Giants selected Daniel Jones, a quarterback out of Duke University. The call was highly questioned as a lot of fans thought they could have picked up someone with a greater immediate impact with that number 6 pick. In fact, some fans took the pick harder than others. Take a look.
In the 2019 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Daniel Jones.
Mike, do you agree with the pick, and what do you think the motive was behind it?
Good Lord.
The motive behind the table, or, I mean, so I would just name a couple people. Josh Allen, Ed Oliver, Dwayne Haskins for even that matter. But the Giants decided to take not even the best quarterback in the draft, Dave Gettleman, said, hey, do you want to play in 5 years? Because then this is the organization for you. The Giants, if they were going to stick with Eli Manning, then they should have waited a year and waited for another quarterback and then pile up on defense. That just seems like the most logical thing for me to do, but I'm not the general manager, so.
Unfortunately.
Well, we'll see how Jones is able to sit behind Manning and learn over these 3-5 years, however long it may be. The Golden State Warriors defeated the Houston Rockets in Oracle Arena by a score of 104-100 last night. The win gives the Dubs a 1-0 lead in the Western Conference semifinals, but that wasn't the biggest story of the night. MVP candidate James Harden was taking 3-point shots down the stretch that were questioned when the refs didn't call a foul. Harden says that he just wants a fair game to be called, and then he can worry about playing the way he knows how. Bo, is this karma on Harden for all of the weak calls the refs have given the Beard this season?
I'm doing a little bit of a Stephen A. impression here. Okay, first of all, karma does not apply here, all right? What this is playoff basketball, James Harden, okay? You are going to get fouled a little bit more than you were during the regular season. Is the plane of the shooter landing there? I mean, I think so. You can see Draymond clearly landing too close to him. Granted, he does kick his legs out a little bit. I don't like it that much. I think that this is one of the things that he's going to have to get over because it is going to get more physical and less is going to be called moving forward.
Well, in such a high-stakes series, we'll see if the refs can either step up or the players can get over it.
Or sit down.
Moving on to talk of the town, the Boston Celtics handily defeated the Milwaukee Bucks in Milwaukee by a score of 112-90 and took a 1-0 series lead in the Eastern Conference semifinals. Giannis Antetokounmpo wasn't exactly himself, as he wasn't as dominant as he normally is against other teams, saying that he still had 22 points and 8 rebounds on the day. Bo, this is a sign that the Greek Freak is starting to slow down a little bit, or is everything fine?
This is not a sign that he's starting to slow down. Literally, first of all, that was the quietest 22 and 8 I've ever seen in my entire life. There was a point at the game where they showed that he had 16. I was like, no, he doesn't. He has 4. So I think that everything that you saw from Giannis in this game was because of a scheme drawn up by Brad Stevens and the Celtics, and it was executed perfectly by them. If you watch a lot of the games, it's basically just force Giannis to go to the sideline where the baseline meets and then get him to drive and then bring weak side help, but only show and then have that help recover so that he can't kick it out to the other shooters and let them get hot. Because the entire game, granted, there were guys. Chris Middleton shot very well in the first half. We had Eric Bledsoe hitting a couple in the second half. However, because of the way that the Celtics were rotating, those players weren't able to get on the kind of runs that they're usually used to getting, especially Giannis.
I think the Milwaukee Bucks were also vastly underprepared for this series. I mean, coming off, do you even want to count the first round of the playoffs that they had?
No.
They played the Detroit Pistons. Do you know that? I didn't know that.
I didn't know
you know
that.
They
Did
played
you know
Blake,
that?
Do you know that they played?
Thon Maker was there. That's all I know. He got dunked on a lot.
I will leave this show right now. It's the season finale. I got nothing to lose.
Do you know that Blake Griffin's on the Pistons? He wasn't even playing? Do you count that series?
No, you don't. You don't. Why would you?
They came into this. It was a trap game for the Bucks. I think that was just very obvious. And they just didn't. The Celtics were obviously the better team. I wouldn't say that Giannis now is done. This is one game, and I think the Bucks understand that. Also, this is just this is the environment that they have to adapt to. I mean, it's crunch time. And, now a lot of players haven't been in this situation, but it's just the name of the game.
So, Mike, why were the Celtics so effective in neutralizing Giannis and the Bucks?
I think that, like Bo said, Brad Stevens has had a plan that was used, and the Bucks just weren't prepared for it. I think that the Celtics were also the team that a lot of people thought they were going to be in the beginning of the year, and they just began to flourish as playoff time became, because I think the Kyrie drama got a little over people's heads, and they didn't actually realize how good of a team the Celtics really is. I mean, they have a lot of good young players led by Kyrie Irving and also Al Horford, who had a great game as well. I think the Bucks just, again, were unprepared.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I'm a Boston fan.
I'm
a Boston Celtics
Man, would have never guessed by the Bruins, the Sox jerseys.
I'm elated
the stupid
right now
accent.
because what is happening in this series right now, even after one game, I don't care. That whole Indiana series, I can forget about it. This is the basketball that the Boston Celtics were supposed to be playing this entire season. Yeah. All right? This is what I have been waiting for since this damn season started, okay?
So I know that you're a very Brad Stevens, you love Brad Stevens.
He
you're
is
big,
Brad Stevens.
You are a very big Brad Stevens guy, and he's done a very good job coaching the Celtics team. How much of this win can we credit to Brad Stevens?
I would say, if I had to put a percentage on it, I would say something like 35%, just because the scheme that he drew up was absolutely perfect in a matchup situation that switched between man and the matchup, and I also think that I would only give him 35% because the players still had to execute it the way they did, and they executed it perfectly.
Yeah, and again, they just knew how to stop him, and I think they just can't really change anything going into that.
I agree.
So with another great Eastern Conference coach in Brad Stevens, we have another great Eastern Conference coach in Mike Budenholzer for the Bucks. So, Mike, how is Mike Budenholzer and the Bucks? How are they going to plan for Game 2?
I think just keep playing the way they have. Again, unfamiliar environment. They have to grow and adapt to that. Kyrie Irving went off, shut him down. Al Horford, like you said, shouldn't really be having those bigger games that he is, and they have to just now, utilize more players and get more involved so this is not just Giannis's team.
Yeah, Al Horford's 175 years old, so he should not be having 20-point games. However, if he keeps doing that, you rock, Big Al, you got it.
So here's the biggest question that I have to ask is, do we see a new Giannis Antetokounmpo in Game 2 or the same one that got shut down? Because if he gets shut down again, this Celtics team has a very good chance of sweeping, especially because they take both games in Milwaukee and they go back to Boston. It is so difficult to win in TD Garden when that place is rocking come playoff time. So, Bo, are we going to see a different Giannis?
I think that's completely up to the Boston Celtics. I think that if the Boston Celtics can play the same brand of defense that they played in the last game without having too much adversity as far as them fighting them with the defense, I think that we could see the same thing happen again.
For the first time, I think the Bucks have honestly faced adversity. I think this is their real test of the whole season, and I think that we might see a different Giannis going into this, and I think he might even be on a different level now just because he knows the challenges that he has to face.
So the last thing that I'll ask you, Bo, is that do you think, because a lot of people have said that Giannis, even Shaq called Giannis the most dominant player that he's ever seen, and he gifted him the Superman title.
Nope.
Do you think that a loss in this series to the Celtics and he disappears takes away that title of him being one of the best in the NBA?
I don't think so. I think he's still one of the best in the NBA. I don't think he's Shaq level, though. Like, Shaquille O'Neal was 375 million pounds and was just the most dominant player.
With the exaggerated numbers.
Al Horford's age, listen, I don't know numbers, so I can just throw whatever one I want out. So I think that he's still one of the best in the NBA, but I don't think he's quite at the level that Shaquille O'Neal is saying that he's at.
Mike, what's your take?
I don't think Shaq is 375 million pounds. I know that for a fact.
He might be now.
I know that for a fact.
He might be now.
So, I mean, when Shaq, I think putting that Superman title and putting that he is better than me already, I think I don't like it when players of the other of other ages, I guess you want to say, or eras, when they do that, I think it's a jinx, and I think they put a lot more pressure on these guys than what they should.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't think that he doesn't deserve the Superman title yet.
Not yet.
I mean, do you see how, I mean, yes, that man's big and he's a freak of nature, but I don't think that him being...
His name should be Greek Freak.
Oh, that's a good one.
Genius. Game 2 is tomorrow at 8 p.m. in Milwaukee. Can Boston take Game 2 going back to the TD Garden? We will see what happens. When we come back, both saying sweep. We will see. When we come back, Mike is tackling the New York Mets and the early season struggles of Jacob deGrom. Is it a Cy Young hangover for the Mets ace? Find out with Mike's final take after the break. Stay tuned. You're watching the season finale of Oswego Sports Update.
Hi, I'm Zachary Haynes. I'm the new host and producer of the new comedy sketch show, Acting Out, a comedy sketch show by college students for college students. You can check us out here on WTOP every other Sunday this semester on B weekends. Okay, I guess B weekends are down here now in the bottom left corner of your screen. Anyways, we got all sorts of great sketch. Okay, guys, what's going on with the set? What's going?
You made her college years possible, opening that education savings account when she was little, spearheading campus tours, and deciphering financial aid. If you can ace planning for college, you can do it for retirement. Get on track with tips at aceyourretirement.org.
It took me a whole semester to get me back to where I want to be. Last semester on the season finale, I got cut off about what I really want to talk about. And now, I got a cool 3.5 minutes to talk about what I want. And, hold on. What? No, we're not having this again. No, because I had this. This is my time. I don't want... When I leave OSU, you guys are going to be so upset. So now I have 1.5 minutes and counting because I never really get what I want, but apparently Bo could have all the time that he wants in the world. To put it frankly, the Mets pitching rotation is so unpredictable, I can't even tell if they're trash or not. And there's not one person the Mets could really rely on to get a win. Everyone is so inconsistent. I mean, one day Jason Vargas is wheeling and dealing. The next, Jacob deGrom is giving up 5 runs against the Bruins. The offense has been a bright spot against opposing teams, saving relief pitchers and the starting rotation, but it always seems to be not enough to even be a difference maker in the season. A change must be made now, and it's got to be quick. If there was only a way to sign a former All-Star, Cy Young, and a World Series champion, that would help. Oh, wait, I almost forgot. There is. And he's sitting at home? Well, what are they waiting for? The fact that the Mets front office is actually comparing Jason Vargas to Dallas Keuchel is really not surprising to me. I know the Wilpons are watching this thinking, well, when Jason Vargas is a World Series champion, man, he'll be sorry, but I digress. To be fair, the Mets are just not the dumpster fire just yet. I mean, we have bright spots like Pete Alonso, who's been a tank as of late, and Jeff McNeil, who's a hitting machine, and he's probably almost a guarantee to even get on base. And with Tim Tebow on the horizon, I could see it now. From Syracuse taking that flight over to Citi Field, I cannot wait. They've been able to stay afloat for a little bit, but the summer is a long time, and they just need to be prepared for anything.
All right. I don't mean to cut you off, Mike.
Oh, wow.
But we gotta give thank yous to the wonderful crew here. I know. I don't mean to cut you off. I know. I do it all the time. I do it all the time. Not intentional or anything.
Don't touch me.
As the season finishes for OSU here, we would like to thank everybody for tuning in, all of the crew. So let's start it off here. Ben, Mike Russo, Joe, Curtis, Isa, Dan, Mike Fontana, Andrew, Pete, AJ, and I'm not forgetting Alex Lance Geffro. I'm not forgetting about him. I forgot about him last season. We're not forgetting about him this
Alex.
time.
We love you.
And
I love you, man.
The crew clapping and everything. And I'd like to thank these two beautiful men sitting beside me, Bo drake-deese, Mike Morano. You guys have been absolutely amazing this year. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to season 18 of Oswego Sports Update. We will be back in the fall to give you season 19. Tune in then. But until next time, see you then.
And that's the bottom line.
Hey, President Stanley, what's your favorite television station?
I don't know. Hey, guys, what do you think?
My family and friends are always with me, no matter where I may be. Sharing stories from home helps me sustain my recovery from my mental and substance use disorder.
Hi, sweetheart.
Join the Voices for Recovery. Our families, our stories, our recovery.
For confidential information on mental and substance use disorders, including prevention and treatment referral for you or someone you know, call 1-800-662-HELP. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Good evening and welcome to WTOP 10 Nightly News.
Total, Baldwin faces 32 charges.
Saturday, I went to Woodchuck Saloon.
Too much temperature change.
1310 meteorologist.
2 as well.
Visions for Tanner Spink.
Go to 2-1. 2 with 6 and 10 on the year.
It's back and better than ever. One student can win up to $25 in cash. All on Oswego's favorite game show, Spin to Win! Every Sunday night at 9, only on WTOP 10 TV.